something different.
I'm waiting for another signal, and there he goes. Good evening and welcome to the City Council Finance Committee meeting of Thursday, August 15th, 2024. There are two items on the agenda. The first of these is discussion regarding monthly revenue and expenditure reports. Mr. Francisco.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Nothing really new to report on the revenue and expenditure reports. I will say that we got our monthly sales tax and use tax remittance from the State Tax Commission for August. We were down 1.32% for the month, so now we are down 2.04% for the fiscal year to date. Recall that we budgeted an increase of 2%. So that will be of growing concern if we continue on this trend. And we hope for a turnaround coming here soon, but that's kind of where we are, at least for sales tax. Nothing major to report for the other major revenue sources. I did want to talk a little bit about the University North Park TIF Fund. I want to make sure that we are clear that this is the originally 2006 TIF project plan that was adopted and amended in 2019, and the authorized projects were changed in 2019. But there is this misnomer out there that the University of North Park TIF ended in 2019, and that is false. The University of North Park TIF Fund is alive and well. There is an oversight committee that meets monthly or as needed related to projects that are ongoing or proposed in University of North Park. And they have recommended authority related to the various projects and incentives that are included in that project plan from 2019. You'll recall that a few months ago, the developer of the Lifestyle Center area requested about $3 million of those incentive funds for infrastructural improvements that were being made in preparation basically for the Brockhouse Jeweler building that's now open and PF Chang's that has been permitted, but I don't think they've started construction on that yet. That request has been renewed now for about $5 million, which is the amount that they are justifiably saying that they are spending for on-site infrastructural improvements to support not just Brockhouse Jewelers and PF Chang's, but also the main event, which is an entertainment concern that will be in that Lifestyle Center area. It will be facing south, kind of backing up to the Holiday Inn Express. So if you can picture Legacy Park Drive as it crosses going eastbound from 24th Avenue, there'll be a roundabout, and this will be on the northern side of that roundabout. If you know Main Event, they are a big kind of indoor amusement park kind of a thing. Go-karts, bowling alleys, all that sort of thing. They have a location up on Memorial Road in Oklahoma City. So basically the question before the oversight committee and ultimately the general manager of the Norman Tax Increment Finance Authority is the city manager. And under that 2019 project plan, the general manager of the Norman Tax Increment Finance Authority has the empowerment to make to release those incentive funds, but obviously he doesn't do that without conferring with council in advance. And so I think that request has been known to you all, but it will be before the TIF Oversight Committee on Tuesday, basically justifying, does Main Event justify the release of those incentive funds. So I did want to just talk about that those incentive funds are available. We have, under that 2019 project plan, there was a requirement that we set aside the University North Park TIF funds in a custodial account that is being held at Bank of Oklahoma custody. So we have $3.8 million in the traffic and roadway improvement account. So again, for those improvements that are basically along Tecumseh Avenue and flood, additional turn lanes and that sort of thing. We have about $3.8 million for those things as soon as we can get some matching money from the state.
What was the language around the appropriate release of those funds? I remember a series of conversations where it was, like, is this unique enough?
Is it unique enough? Does it provide a regional draw
Well,
of
the other
retail
part,
or entertainment
that caught my,
facilities? Is it walkable?
well, that part, but also, wasn't there like question if some of this was gonna generate per square foot what they were
Yes.
saying?
Yes. And both Brockhouse Jewelers and PF Chang's, for that matter, meets that particular requirement. So that was not the reason that the city manager did not approve the request earlier. It was more about that regional draw.
And walkability
and-
too. I remember
and
we looked at
entertainment,
the parking lot and there was some discontent about that.
Yeah. Now, I don't think that part of the plan has changed very much. I think there's still a lot of surface parking in the proposal.
So
But
that's,
the question, I think, what is new is main event. So,
UMP Oversight Committee also understands what that language is and
Yes.
will have their own questions for the developer and all that about how this meets those definitions.
yes.
Okay.
What page in the packet?
That's not in your packet. This was just a
Okay.
kind of a heads up.
Okay, no, gotcha.
And then you know how much money is available and that they have made the request.
Don't they have a total of about 14 million in there?
No, there's not that much. The town center incentive account has about $5.4 million.
No.
And that's really close to the amount that has been requested from the developer. And the economic development incentive account, which is basically the money that we have been paying on an annual basis to NEDC for their incentive to attract Emmy, has about $1.1 million left in it. And you'll recall that when you approved that most recent payment to Emmy, that was the amount that was total to be paid to Emmy. So that $1 million is basically awaiting an approved project for economic development incentives. So that's really all that's left there. It's about, a total of about $10 million. But the biggest amount of that is for these lifestyle center incentives.
Would main events qualify as unique? Like,
That's the question. And it's a subjective question. But does it qualify? It's not so much unique as the language in the project plan is regional entertainment draw. And there's even a radius it's about a 20-mile radius. It was set basically to Penn Square Mall in Oklahoma City to make sure that we were, if you will, cannibalizing things that were within that radius area. And so is it drawing folks from at least that radius and distance?
I guess just wondering too, because was it Andy Alligators or Heyday, one of those, like Perfect Swing? There's some entertainment options that didn't really take off and stay in business. When you say it's like an adult entertainment, is it like skee ball or arcade? Like,
I've been to Main Event in Oklahoma City. There are some things that you could say kind of, there is a bowling component, so there are some things that would mirror what is at Heyday or for that matter Sooner Bowl. But I would think it's broader than that. It's, picture me getting in and out of a go-kart with my granddaughter and these indoor amusement rides and that sort of thing. That's more Main Event.
I've seen something kind of like that in the far northwest part of OKC in a different part of town than.
Oh, I think you may think about Incredible Pizza, maybe.
Yeah,
Is
where
that-
they have the go-karts and
That,
all the different.
it's very similar. Main Event is considered to be kind of certainly higher dollar,
Okay,
higher class.
so that's
than
in that
Incredible
square
Pizza.
footage
Yeah.
part too?
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Is it kind of a mix between Heyday and Perfect Swing? because you've got the outdoor stuff, not necessarily the golf part.
Yeah, now, to my knowledge, Main Event in Oklahoma City does not have the outdoor, the golf, mini golf and that sort of stuff. But they do have a lot of things that Heyday does not with the indoor rides and that sort of thing, indoor roller coaster.
Another place to have fun.
Yeah. So we'll see what, I guess, the oversight committee thinks about uniqueness and regional draw.
That's really all I have, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, sir. Stephen always asks about sales tax, and you've already answered that. Is use tax up?
Use tax is up by about 11% for the fiscal year.
So the budget itself is floating in that, but we're still, when you say that we're down approximately 4% in what goes, how does that change our budget?
We are about 1% above budget in the general fund for revenues.
Okay. And that makes it go. It sounds to me, it's not a heck of a margin, but it's solid. That's a good thing. Questions from anybody else? Yes, sir.
Mr. Francisco, I know you can see to granularity that kind of no one else can on the sales tax. Is there anything that is growing that surprises you, or anything that's like sinking that, not individual firms, but just as a
Yeah, see,
a class?
I used to have a much better feel for the granularity than I have since COVID. And I used to really pride myself on knowing that sort of an answer, what's doing well, what's not. I really don't know now.
Fair.
I don't have much clue. And it's embarrassing me for to say that.
No, I'm sorry.
Where's the budget?
I should have sent you that email yesterday if I really wanted. It just popped in my head. I'm sorry. Nope, you're good,
Are you
man.
guys?
Yes.
Just a quick question about that grocery tax. Like, when does that kick in, or did it kick in?
November, doesn't
I think it kicks in November,
How
which
is-
means that the first impact would be felt in January.
Is there kind of a idea of what that impact to us might be?
Again, it is supposed to have no impact on cities, and we did not make any changes to our budget projections related to that. Because what they actually did was they rolled back the state rate on groceries, but they did not exempt groceries. So the retailer is supposed to continue to charge the 4.625% sales tax on groceries and remit that to the cities. And as I talked about in a previous finance committee meeting, I'm comfortable that that will happen for the big ones. My concern is with the smaller retailers who don't have a sophisticated enough point of sale cash registering system to separate out what are the grocery sales and remit them at a different rate for city than they do for state. And that's, whether that's gonna hit us for 5% of grocery sales in the city, I don't
We'll
know,
see it in
but I do think it
December.
will have some impact.
Okay, so something to put on calendar for the future to circle back to.
things to worry about. That's anything else from Mr. Francisco? Thank you, sir. Item number 2, internal audit programs update. Your accountant.
Good afternoon, council members. Thank you very much, Dixon, Councilmember Nash, Brent, and Mayor Heikula. Just a few points of updating. So I want to put the internal audit, internal charter and the resolution to implement internal audit policies and procedures on the study session for the 27th, if that is the correct date that I'm quoting. For the next, not this study session coming on Tuesday, but the one after that, I spoke to Brenda. We'll coordinate on whether that's possible or not. I received your edits from Mayor Heikula and edits from Councilmember Montoya. I'm still waiting feedback from the remaining council members. I understand that Councilmember Dixon and Councilmember Hinkle are new to the dais, and I will email you a copy of that. as well as Councilmember Hinkle. As far as the risk assessment, that is still ongoing. It was initially dated to be completed by this month. Unfortunately, that update needs to be re-updated, so to speak. So I anticipate it to be September 2024 when I can get you at least a draft of a triennial audit plan. The remaining departments are Parks and Rec, Utilities, Planning, Municipal Court, City Clerk, and City Manager. Next week has been reserved to have workshop meetings for risk assessment for Parks and Rec, and then the following week is reserved for Utilities Department. I've spoken with them and everybody's on board, and meetings are being scheduled as we speak. And then the meetings are, I guess, the reason for the delay is that the meetings are scheduled based on the availability of the staff of each department. I'm not trying to step on anybody's toes or get in their way, and just want to make sure that we're all fluid and we're all working together and coordinating, collaborating effectively. The information garnered, though, just so far, what I'm receiving is a theme of lean staff in all departments, all divisions. A lean staff. So,
lean staff.
yes, lean staff in all divisions and all departments, and just the possibility of hiring for specific roles to increase that effectiveness and efficiency. And then I understand salary is the highest expense of any organization, city, whether that's a private or otherwise. So with this recurring theme and risk assessments, it led me to review the overtime of the city. And the available budget is now a over negative 3 million. So we are negative 3 million in the overtime budget. So I'm seeking approval to review overtime to a more detailed perspective, only to ascertain how many positions we could hire with that 3 million that is being, over budgeted, not over budgeted, but used in overtime expense. We work. We need to get paid if overtime is being used, and I understand that's being paid, but that also speaks to increased risk of burnout, high workload for everyone, and if we could hire more staff in certain positions, possibly we could decrease that. Not that overtime will completely go away, but to the extent that it is being used, it definitely needs an analysis. As far as information being publicized to the Norman public, I am working on the IA, or the internal audit webpage via the CON website. Development is in process. It will provide access to the triennial audit plan, the annual reports, once they're 2025, when we have an annual report for audit, the IA internal audit charter, and then audit reports itself, and then a link to government auditing standards, which are the standards that I audit under. Any questions?
Please.
I just had a question about the overtime. So it's time and a half, like what you would get paid plus half.
Yes, that is the only metric. I mean, there's other determinations of where pay is earned outside of overtime and just regular salary or regular hourly pay, depending on the department. But that was just singularly for overtime, 1.5.
I guess I'm curious to see when you get a better look at where it's being spent, if it's a salaried person, if that's even a thing, or hourly, how many employees would that equal?
And that's where the analysis will come in, is depending on the department, the role. Of course, we have salary and or hourly pay, and then you have to account for fringe benefits and or other benefits. So it may just be a diverse answer for you.
And I guess in the line of thinking about fatigue, would that show up like in other things if there was like an injury?
Yes.
Okay, so you could calculate what that extra expense on that is too?
Yes, so the risk management part of that is if you are, so to speak, burnt out, but there's no other way to address it except more overtime. Possibly the amount of OJIs that we get could decrease if we could get more staff to actually perform the job.
I may be wrong on that. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm very supportive of you looking into all that and helping us with our lean staff issue.
I may be wrong on the number, but I think it's 161 positions that were asked for in the budget last year. I may be off on that, Daryl would know that number. And
It was about, I think it was 170, but somewhere in that
170?
neighborhood, yeah.
it was a huge amount. And heck, yes, that would help, and having that comparison does work. It does prove out, that was my background, was figuring out how tired they were and what would happen if car wrecks, all the other things that happen. Not Jason drilling his finger, but other people drilling their fingers.
Yeah.
And doing stuff like that hurt people. And, you're not gonna solve injuries with paying people more and doing anything else, but the odd thing was the majority of traffic accidents were on Thursday afternoon, right at lunch. Friday, they wanted to get off. But Thursday afternoon, they were just hurrying to get stuff done. And it's always been lean here. Always, there's never been, they tease us about guys standing around on a shovel waiting. They're waiting for that guy to get done down there in the hole to be able to get in there. So they're not really doing nothing. But doesn't always appear that way. And I also applaud you for what you're doing. That's a great thing.
Thank you.
But you said we'll get the first report in September of this year.
Yes.
And then it'll be next year for the triennial.
Yeah, no, I'm hoping to deliver the triennial, but, we should, in internal audit, we should also update you every year within that 3 years of how many audits were completed, how many audits are ongoing, and what the results of those audits were. So that'll be an annual report every year, even though there's a triennial, audit plan. So 2024, we're gonna deliver a triennial audit plan that's from 2024 to 2027. I think that's 3 years. And then 2025, I'll deliver an annual report to say what's been done between 2024 and 2025, and so on and so forth. Just to keep you abreast if there's any priority changes, if council wants to have a request on something that I should look at or something I should review that could be added as a special project, things like that.
Which of your wonderful staff of one.
Well, this is definitely a graceful challenge that I accept. It's now I'm part of IT, right? Building the IA web IA web page, so I get to learn another skill set, and just add that to my repertoire. So I appreciate the challenge and I accept it gracefully.
Anything else from council? Well, we are adjourned.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you all. I think it's 170 people. That was a lot of our.
Did you get your?